Dr. Ravi, a very, very good evening to you, sir. And thank you so much for your time. And let me take this opportunity to congratulate you for the good work that you've been doing with BETIC as a research institute with IIT Bombay. And somebody of that stature and this honor, being a part of this particular ceremony itself is a great honor for us. And let me congratulate you for the 3D Graphy Medical Awards 2020, the 3D printing services through a research institute for dental and medical. So you're doing a great job, sir, and it is a privilege to have this award conferred to you. Sir, I would need to know from you how did it all start? As in, what was your? I just want to know your journey from where it all started.
So, Mr. Shivu, first of all, thank you very much for having me here, and very grateful to you for thinking about what we have done so far. But I must also say immediately that I'm representing a team. I'm representing the BETIC family in a sense. So it's a large number of people, and not just researchers, but also clinicians, industry experts, and of course a lot of innovators who have actually either left their jobs, existing jobs, or left job offers to do what they're doing here. So I'm grateful for all of them, to be honest, to be accepting this award. Thank you very much for that. So you asked me about the journey part of it. As you know, you already know that I'm a mechanical engineer, and I teach CAD/CAM and metal casting, to be precise, very deep mechanical engineering, manufacturing engineering. So medical was more like an accident in my life, where I saw a live surgery of a boy with having a knee tumor. And instead of amputating the leg, the doctor at that point in Tata Memorial Hospital, he opened the leg and replaced the entire knee joint along with the femur and tibia with a mega prosthesis. And he asked me, why can't we develop something like this in the country? It was an imported joint. That was a difficult decision, because that day, which was in 2004, we took a call to indigenously develop that joint. But trust me, it was a very long, very hard journey. It took us 15 years before we could put a absolutely great world-class joint designed for Indians, in Indian patients, which happened last year in 2019. That was the beginning of the journey. But then BETIC happened in 2014 when Dr. Anil Kapadkar, chairman of the Science and Technology Commission of Maharashtra government, he said, why can't we set up an institution where doctors and engineers can work together? And we set up this BETIC, which is Biomedical Engineering and Technology Innovation Center. I didn't realize that it will grow into a big family with now 14 centers across the state, almost 55 patents filed, and out of that we have now about 20 technologies licensed, 16 to startups, and about 5-6 to industry. And these 16 startups, each one of them have been able to get an angel funding of at least 50 lakh rupees each. So it's come a long way, and many of them are also in the market now, and some of them have filed patents all over the world. And some of these devices are actually being sold not only in the country but also across the world. And one prime example for that actually is, for example, one of the prime examples for that, for example, is the stethoscope, smart stethoscope, which can help you do remote auscultation, which has proved to be a boon in this pandemic period, because doctors need not be in contact with the patients for that.
Amazing, doctor. Amazing. So, also as an institution by itself, how is it actually helping startups? You mentioned about startups. So there are many biomedical engineers who also would like to join you and probably want to design and create products and solutions. Probably could be looked at, promoting that for a larger to be marketing it. So, do you also help these young birds, doctor?
Absolutely. What we have now done is a pipeline to identify, train, and support these innovators. And across the country, I mean, 80% of our innovators actually are not from IIT system. They are actually from sometimes smaller towns, smaller colleges, all over the country, from literally Tamil Nadu to Haridwar to South India and East. What we have done is that we have set up now a system by which we run in partner institutes hackathons. We call them medical device hackathon, or MEDHA. And each team will have one doctor, one engineer at least, ideally one doctor, one designer, one mechanical, and one electronics engineer. And they, over a period of 2 days, over the weekend, they'll actually be given a medical device problem to be solved, and by the next evening they create a proof of concept and show it to the local expert doctors. So that is the mega. Then those who show a lot of promise and interest, we take them forward into what is called as a medical device innovation camp or MEDIC, which we do at IIT Bombay because we can control the whole environment very carefully. It's a 5-day and 4-night event. It's continuously for 5 days and 4 nights. And these, and many of them actually are working professionals who take leave. Many of them are actually clinicians, biomedical engineers, industry professionals, mentors, innovation center directors or managers. So we train many of them in not only just innovation, but also medical device innovation in a big way. And then out of that, again, come those who show a lot of promise and interest and commitment. We bring them full time into any of the BETIC centers, which is Bombay, Pune, Nagpur, Wardha. We have now 14 centers across Maharashtra, 7 in engineering colleges, 7 in medical institutes. So they can join any of those BETIC centers, and about 1 to 1.5 years, we give them all the support, all the guidance, all the mentoring, which is very critical in this domain.
Right.
Mentoring even for how do you manufacture, how do you do clinical trials, regulation, certification, business planning, how do you even raise money, So all it is very closely mentored for them, and that is how we were able to get these. I mentioned to you about 16 startups in the last 3 to 4 years, which is in some sense a record you can say from a single and a small lab, which are not even not very well known out.
Right.
But we don't like to show off. I think we believe that our work should speak for itself. Our innovators should put the product in the market. Finally, we want to see made in India successful products, worldwide success eventually.
Very true. And I've seen the institute have grown with size now that you mentioned 14, which was actually, I was not aware. I knew that there were some 8 to 9 centers, but that was lately. But I think commendable, Doctor, for the good initiative that you've been doing in this space. Doctor, do you think as an institution, 3D printing as a subject should also be introduced in biomedical engineering space? Because what I know is as this technology will grow, and it is growing with time, we've seen that there is a lot of work happening in bioengineering, biotissue engineering, because there are a lot of, I think everything would boil down to materials and material science, new materials coming in. So there's a lot of research happening in this space. Do you think that you are also looking at that space, apart from the mechanical side, I'm sure, by looking at the opportunity that we see in materials and bio tissue engineering? Is there an area that you're looking at?
No, absolutely. Because Shibu, I think maybe you may remember that the very first 3D printer in the country was got in our lab in 1996-97. So it's now more than 25 years now. Mm-hmm. And within 4 years, which is about 2001, we did several medical device projects, essentially for 3D printing for surgery planning. Okay. But let me just walk you back. We generally say that 3D printing has 5 levels of applications in biomedical. Level 1 is basically you just print 3D models for surgery planning, which I just mentioned to you. Mm-hmm. Level 2 is when you do 3D printing to support medical device innovation, which we are now using on a large amount of projects. Large number of prototypes are being built by that, so they support medical device innovation. Right. Number 3 comes in when the 3D printed, let's say, part itself is used in some way in the surgeries. One of the classical methods here is your surgical guides. They don't go into the human body, but they are in touch with the human body. Yes. Through which you are doing this surgical, drilling or cutting or whatever it is. Yeah. Then you are talking about the next level where the 3D printed implant stays in the body. Mm-hmm. And then you have, of course, a metal implant, which now IIT Bombay has, and we have been able to do a few things like orbital implants and then dental implants. Dental implants have been there for quite some time, but now we're looking at maxillofacial, orbital implants and so on, which you have successfully done in the last few months. Right. And then you're talking about the non-metallic, which is your hydroxyapatite and PCP and all that, which is where tissue engineering comes into picture. Now, what we are researching right now in IIT Bombay is a combination of now metal and then maybe what's called as your resorbable materials and coated with HA. So you're talking about now multi-material. Right. So metal gives you the very good strength immediately. Okay. But it is not osseointegration, doesn't integrate with the body very well. Mm-hmm. So you put in something like a zinc magnesium alloys, which will leach out into the body and get replaced by the bone. And then you put a HA protein into it, which will enable that bone to grow much better into the thing. And the matrix structure, what should be the porosity, size, shape, and all those things, to get the bone into growing and also vascularization to happen very well. These are the deep research which our PhD students are now doing these days. So you can see the entire stages of 3D printing applications in medical.
Right.
Obviously, it must be part of the curriculum. I must tell you in a funny way, even 5 years back, when I would travel around, I remember one meeting in Vijayawada, and doctors there said that when I was giving a talk about 3D printing in medical, they said, "Can we come to Bombay for 3D printing for medical, surgical planning?" I said, "Just look around. I'm sure there are at least a dozen engineering colleges in Vijayawada itself who already have a 3D printer. You have to just go and talk to them.
Definitely.
You don't have to come to Bombay all the way for that." So
I think
it's just a question of information. I think
information and awareness, Doctor.
what we're doing, of course, is great. That the bridge is being covered between the gap is being bridged between the doctors and engineers.
Yes, thank you, Doctor. In fact, recently when we did this 3D Graphy medical conference, Doctor, it was a 2-day conference and it was a global event. We had people coming from a global arena. I had Sam Onkuri from Johnson and Johnson, who's been the champion in being in the epitome of being in 3D printing for many years in US. So he was there. He spoke about his journey and the way they are actually shaping up the organization using solution as in offering solutions in the space, and many others also. And I had one session, Doctor, which was very specific to orthopedic application, apart from dental, and we had a key respondent, Dr. Lalit Maini, who is also now who is the professor in orthopedics for in Maulana Azad Medical College.
Right.
He also happens to be in our 3D Graphy panel now. Right. So we've actually built a panel, Doctor, of doctors and surgeons. We have 162 doctors now, who have come on board with us. And the clear intention is to actually form this 3D Graphy platform where training and education can be imparted. So the doctors coming from that kind of a background to then conduct these training becomes more convenient, and it will align well in terms of accepting the acceptance wherein the students can accept from various specializations that they're coming from individually. So that's our larger focus. While we were discussing, the thought came as in what I could want to connect was when you talked about HA coatings. Now, this doctor did mention that he was not aware. He was actually taking solutions from abroad and then realized that IIT Bombay, we have these solutions already been offered by Dr. Jayesh Ballari. He was actually working on that in HA coatings. Yes. And that is something which is an eye-opener. So I think platforms like these would always help researchers, institutes, doctors, clinicians to come together. And probably it could be one word of a communication, probably missed out. And as you rightly said, Doctor, when you did have people coming to you asking for it, there's so many service centers in any case in India operating. So that's the effort. And I think there's a lot of satisfaction that we also get, Doctor, in terms of seeing that, finally the engagement makes worth in terms of their participation, and also to see that it comes to a state where there's some result, coming out to, and also when Prime Minister talks about Atmanirbhar, I think there's so much here in the country itself. We've actually go searching outside, but there is great opportunities only to see that everything can be worked in a consortium wherein everybody can work together. I think it has a great opportunity. Thank you so much for your time, sir. And it's always a pleasure to connect with you. And once again, congratulating you for your awards and the honor. I think our awards is very small to what you are actually being able to gain in terms of your representation within the space where you have been coming up with a lot of innovation. And it's a privilege, Doctor, to confer this award to you. And thank you so much for your time, Doctor. And thank you for sharing your insights and your journey. Thank you so much, Doctor.
No, thank you very much, Shivu. It's actually congratulations to you and your team also for doing what you're doing is really wonderful. I think we are just pieces of the same puzzle. I think we all have the same mission to get, as I said, make in India. And then these technologies are nothing but, in my opinion, leveraging platforms for all of us to actually exploit. And also, eventually, affordable healthcare has to be the mission for the country, and we can show the way to actually many other countries in the same thing. So, thank you very much for the whole effort. We are all with you.
Thank you.
And you mentioned education in between, and that's also a very important part of it. Yes. I think we all should apply our mind to the whole thing.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Have a wonderful day, sir. Thank you.
You too. Thank you very much.